Thank you, Naveen. And well, it's still morning. I got up very early, so I wasn't sure whether it was already afternoon. So, good morning, everybody. As Naveen said, yes, it's not a full house, but it's not really about quantity sometimes. It's more about the quality of people that are present here. And it's very heartening to see that we do have people who've been part of the industry and probably have something new to bring to this. Naveen said something very interesting in his opening remarks. Thank you, Naveen, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. He talked about these stalwarts like Cyrus Gazdar, like Inder Sharma, like Ram Kohli. There was a time when the travel agent was the repository of absolute knowledge. Today, that's changed radically. Very often, travelers know more about a destination than the travel agent. And perhaps that's where the challenge has originated, because the internet changed everything. I mean, we say so many things changed everything. 9/11 changed everything. The internet changed everything. And of course, COVID, changed things beyond anything that we might have possibly foreseen. But this explosion of knowledge, you talking to me? Radically altered the equation. So from being, we had ABCs, which was a great thing, because you could figure out Raipur was connected to which cities. You could figure out, Kota Kinabalu was connected to which cities. You have to work in reverse now because that ABC is gone. But these were special, esoteric pieces of information which were only available with the travel agent, and therefore the travel agent was king. Today, unless you know the product, unless you've experienced it firsthand, unless you've seen that destination and explored it, you're actually in no position to sell it. And I'm talking the larger concept of tourism, not just ticketing. Even ticketing, most of the time people are buying their tickets online. So the disruption that has happened is something that all of us have had to come to terms with in some measure or the other. Some with greater success, some with lesser. Those with lesser are doing lesser business. Some of them have actually been wiped out. But the one thing that COVID did teach us is that without a travel agent, and people figured this out, that without a travel agent, you're on your own. When things go wrong, and they often do in the travel business, then if you've booked online, well, you can hold on to that phone for the next 2 hours saying your call is important to us, please stay on the line. But you never get a human being. Finally, in disgust, you put it down. And then you call me and say, Ajay, I'm stuck over here. Can you do something? And I said, well, where did you buy your ticket from? From me? No. So I can't do anything. I have no control over it. So these are the things that have changed. What has also changed is the nature of the traveler. Mass tourism is what a lot of people were aspiring to get more and more groups and series. And a prime example of how that can go wrong is Goa. Goa's been murdered by the low-end traffic. When I go to Goa and I say this, they don't like me for saying it, but that is a fact. The beaches are littered every morning with Bisleri bottles which people have tossed into the sea. You tossed garbage into the sea, it'll toss it right back at you. So, the traveler who's coming today, who is traveling today, is it's also up to all of us to reinforce that, but by and large, is a much more conscious traveler, is much more aware of the ecological footprint, and therefore it is imperative that businesses that want to stay in business will have to factor in this into their core business ethics, ideology, practices, whatever. Because if you don't do that, the younger generation will not even talk to you. You'll become a four-letter word. So distribution is one aspect. The entire approach to tourism is another. I also, apart from TAFI, work with and represent another international organization which is called IIPT, which is the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. Now, this is it's a 35, 36-year-old organization set up. We worked with the UNWTO, we worked with various other state governments and international governments. It's based on two very simple premises: that tourism, which is one of the largest global industries, could perhaps become the first global peace industry. And number two, which is even more fundamental, is that every tourist is potentially an ambassador for peace. So this is what we need to emphasize: the power of tourism as a force for good. Because Mandela said, if people, nobody is born learning how to go to war. If you can learn to make war, you can also learn to make peace. This is at the core of what we ought to be looking at, which is where sustainability comes in. Because as our friend, my friend, also advisor of the IIPT board, Dr. Talib Rifai says, sustainability is not about only a destination. Sustainability is about the sustainability of the human race. I am expanding this, Naveen, pardon me, beyond merely distribution, but distribution is one part of it. We need to get our fundamentals right. Why are we in tourism? Is it only to chase the greenbacks? Or is it to look at this higher paradigm of tourism, and which is where all of us, travel agents, tour operators, inbound, outbound, adventure, domestic, and that was the vision behind Faith, to bring the industry together on one platform. Not all of it has been achieved, but I think there are significant achievements that have happened over the years. And that is the way to go, because we need to have the industry on one platform. And a conclave like this provides that opportunity to brainstorm, to see where we can actually work together and not have those fights on stage that erupted. So let's look at what has changed. The traveler has changed. The world has changed. The travel agent also needs to change. And how do we make that change? And how do we work together? I had, when I have come back to association after almost 10 years. I was last president of TAFI in 2010 to 2012. And that time, my friend Raji Rai was also president of TAI. And we actually discussed this very seriously, that perhaps it would be a great idea if TAFI and TAI could become one association. We discussed this at great length. I had a word on this with Jyoti Mayal as well. I don't know whether it's possible, but I think it's definitely worth exploring, because if you have one association of the travel agents, okay, tour operators, fair enough, you would have a much, much, much stronger voice, and you could perhaps actually make a difference in the way industry functions in this country. So these are a few opening thoughts, and we'll move on from here.
Ajay, thank you very much for that very enlightening observation. I'm not a historian, but I think we all remember what happened to the Berlin Wall. It just came down one fine day without anybody expecting it. So lots of hope in saying TAI and TAFI will work together. They'll bring down the wall, and who knows, you may have an association quicker than you thought. Wonderful. Thank you very much.